Books, books, more books. That is the focus. That is the passion of today's show here on Remote. Audrey's Books, probably the greatest bookstore in Western Canada, if you ask me. So good, so supportive. But how often do we get to actually stand next to you and talk to you and share the wisdom, the wise ways of publishers? Everybody's dying to get into the room with the publisher. This is Matt. He is from New West Press right here in Edmonton, Alberta. Welcome to Dinner Television.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get to these three fabulous books that you want to feature,
Sure.
I want to ask you about sort of publishing and how do people get to you. There are people that are right now going, oh my gosh, what do people dream of like the last two authors that we've interviewed, of being a writer.
Yeah. Well, we're one of the few publishers that take unsolicited manuscripts, so you don't need to have an agent. You just send it to us, and if we like it, we'll make an offer on it. So.
And how does that work? Like, I mean, people like to write a book. When you say, you know, write a manuscript, it's a pretty daunting thing for people. What do you look for? What's when people send something in? How do you seek talent out when you know it?
Well, New West is focused on Western Canadian stories and Western Canadian authors. So, most of the book publishing industry is focused on Toronto, for instance, and not a lot of people are publishing work in our community.
Right.
So we try to do that.
That's so
and bring stories to light that other places won't.
Super cool. You have featured three right now. Tell us about the three, because I'm guessing that like February was a very big month for book launching.
Yeah, well, these are actually our April titles. So these are hot off the presses, only streaming into stores now, but official pub date is April.
All right, so tell me about Where It Hurts.
So this is our lead nonfiction title for the year, and it's a collection of articles about living in the BC interior and how this can be very difficult, especially for women. So it touches on the aspect of the missing and murdered Indigenous women question, and you know, the effect that this has on northern BC communities and how it's just awful. But it's like an insightful and well-researched and well-thought-out look at these problems.
All right, check. Book number one. Book number two.
Book number two comes to us from a Edmonton author. Her name is Jennifer Bowring-Delisle, and it's a examination of her history from Edmonton to Newfoundland. So her family's from Newfoundland, and some of her family were poets who were also involved in a famous wreck of a ship. So this is her kind of looking through her history using newspapers and poetry and oral interviews and all kinds of things to try and figure out what it was like to live back then, why people moved here, what's the corollary between the Rock and Edmonton.
Super cool. Book number three, coming out this April, but here hot off the press.
Yeah, I should have said Where It Hurts is by Sarah DeLeo.
Right.
So, but our last book is Stephen Peters' 59 Glass Bridges. And this is a debut novel, very strange, kind of in the Italo Calvino, Borges sort of allegorical fantasy. It's about a man who wakes up in a strange labyrinth that might be of his own creation, and only a ghost of a girl is able to try and get him through it. And it's interspersed with his own history with his grandmother. There's a lot going on here.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's literary fantasy, very, you know, in your head, but also easy to read too.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's got a little bit of everything. And we thought that we'd have kind of an analytical approach to the cover, kind of, you know, getting the labyrinth in there, but also working in the hoof of a minotaur.
Oh, and kind of heart-ish as well.
Yeah,
I love it.
Dangerous in there.
Yeah,
so,
I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for this, Matt. Thank you. New West Press right here. You heard him. You can walk in. Well, you can send a manuscript, and that is so. You've just given like 100 people right now. Like they're going, okay, I'm gonna go write. I'm gonna go write.
Just check our website. The submission guidelines are there. I'm not going to guarantee it's going to get published, but we'll try and take a look at it.
Look at it. That's amazing. We'll be back. More DT after this.